Okay, let's look at a real world example of when we can use rationalizing the denominator. This is example 6 from the textbook section 9.1. The distance d in miles that you can see to the horizon with your eye level, h feet above the water, is given by d equals the square root of 3h divided by 2. How far can you see when your eye level is 5 feet above the water? So just to make sure we know, the horizon is where the water meets the sky. So if we're looking in this picture over here, the water is meeting the sky, and we're looking to see how far we can see from our eyes to this horizon. Okay, our first step is we are going to use the formula, and we're going to plug the 5 feet in for the h. The h stands for our eye level, and they told us that our eye level is 5 feet above the water, so we're going to plug 5 in for h. Next, we're going to multiply underneath this radical. 3 times 5 gives us 15. So now we have the square root of 15 over the square root of 2. Now we cannot leave our answer like this because the denominator is not rationalized. So let's rationalize the denominator. We're going to take this radical in the denominator, this radical 2, and we're going to multiply the numerator and the denominator by radical 2 over radical 2. Now we're going to multiply across the top and across the bottom. Radical 15 times radical 2 becomes radical 30. And in the bottom, radical 2 times radical 2 becomes radical 4, and radical 4 simplifies to 2. And that would be our final answer here. So we would have the square root of 30 over 2, or if we wanted to round it to the nearest hundredth, it would be approximately 2.74 miles. You would get that by just putting this into your calculator and dividing. Let's look at another example like this, and let's listen to Big Ideas explain it.
The distance d in miles that you can see to the horizon with your eye level h feet above the water is given by d equals the square root of the quantity 3h divided by 2. How far can you see when your eye level is 15 feet above the water? Begin by substituting 15 for h in the equation to get d equals the square root of the quantity 3 times 15 divided by 2. Next, use the quotient property of square roots to rewrite the equation as d equals the square root of 45 divided by the square root of 2. Then rationalize the denominator by multiplying the right side of the equation by the square root of 2 divided by the square root of 2. Because the square root of 45 times the square root of 2 is the square root of 90, and the square root of 2 times the square root of 2 equals 2, the equation simplifies to d equals the square root of 90 divided by 2. Then use the product property of square roots to rewrite the numerator as the square root of 9 times the square root of 10. Because the square root of 9 equals 3, the equation simplifies to d equals 3 times the square root of 10 divided by 2. So you can see 3 times the square root of 10 divided by 2, or about 4 74/100 miles.
So this was a good example because we actually had to simplify the numerator after we multiplied. We could not have left it as the square root of 90. We had to simplify because 90 has a perfect square factor.